I want to talk a little bit about last night as well. We got our first view of the new look Celtics. It was really fun already to watch this team. Emphatic dunk from Kyrie Irving, making himself right at home in his new digs, the TD Garden. But, still some questions as they figure out sort of what is going to be the culture of this new Celtics team. And it's not just the media and fans asking it. Young star Jaylen Brown is asking. Here are some comments he made to Complex magazine. This is kind of about all the changes in the Boston locker room. Quote, "We'll see if it's good or for the bad. Time will tell. But it's still a little weird to me, to be honest, because when I came in, everything they stressed was culture, environment, Celtic basketball. Now it's like, what is the environment? What is the culture? What is Celtics basketball?" And I know what he's talking about here. I mean, Jaylen's a thoughtful kid. He's not just throwing stuff out there. And look, so much of this team that Brad Stevens sort of grouped together was guys with a chip on their shoulder, guys who had been counted out. That was a big part of their ethos. And that's not the two players that big names that they just brought in. You're talking about a guy who was a #1 high school recruit, #1 draft pick, that sort of thing. Do we have to worry if you're a Celtics fan about, hey, gee, the culture might have changed too much?
There's a couple of things here. Number one, he gave this interview before training camp. So maybe if you asked him today after he's been with this team for a couple of weeks, he would have a different opinion. Secondly, he's pretty young. He's coming off his rookie season. Maybe he hasn't felt. This is more like Jaylen Brown's feeling maybe than, but he hasn't seen the business of basketball. He doesn't realize that even a great player like Isaiah Thomas can get traded. But I will say this. The Celtics looked at last year's team, and especially what happened in the conference finals, and they decided this team is not good enough to compete for a championship, and they made major changes. Even before the Kyrie Irving trade, they made major changes.
Yeah.
And I would say to Jaylen, you made the cut. They believe that you were part of that. They kept you. And so that's a part of business. Changes are going to happen with every team.
But I understand what Jaylen is saying also is that how their culture was built. It wasn't built with all-star players. It wasn't built with players who played in multiple all-star games. It was built on them outworking their opponent. And now they have two superstars that have came and joined their team. So he really don't know who's the leader of their team right now and how their culture is going to go. So I totally understand where he's going with this, but I do think they've gotten better as a team. But the culture that they played with last year has to be the same this year, and that's to outwork your opponent.
It's going to be hard because the heart of that team is gone. And Kyrie is a very talented player, but he is not Isaiah Thomas.
Well, they're different. They just bring different things to the table. I liked watching that preseason game last night. I thought it was encouraging if you're a Boston fan. By the way, Kyrie making news after last night's game, wearing a hat that said, quote, "Popularity contests are not truth contests." Is this shade toward the Cavs?
Is he talking to LeBron about this for potential drafting for the All-Star game?
I don't want to say anything on that. I think really it's just a hat he grabbed on the way out the door.
I don't know. Is a hat ever really just a hat?
Rachel, Kyrie has given a lot of interviews over the last month.
Yes.
I've read all of them.
Yes.
A lot of times I don't understand what he's trying to say, so I'm not going to even try to interpret what that means.
I would just say this hat is very on brand, Kyrie. Nicely done.